I don't think.
We had a meeting at work today, and they said hey, they wanted engagement because we're actually going to be moving offices. So they've taken out like our TV where you would put, say, a PowerPoint presentation and stuff like that. So it's
Mm,
like going back to school because they're like giving out handouts of printout PowerPoint slides, and then
wow.
they're like, "We want people engaged, so read what's on the slide."
Yes.
So it got to be my turn, and the easiest way for me to talk right now without sounding weird is to go real low.
Yeah.
So I just got up there and read, and it's just like, all right, let me tell you about this. And I started reading, and I told them everything that I felt at the moment. And it got done, and everybody said, "Oh my gosh, you sound like the movie phone guy." It's like, I'm sick, and this is the easiest way for me to talk, so I'm gonna use it while I got it.
And he almost had some McCree in there.
Yeah.
It's high noon.
There you go. It's always a little more.
You change your password every 30 days.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss it. It's gonna be gone, and then I'm gonna go back to the voice that when I go through the drive-through, they're like, "Here's your order, ma'am."
Oh yeah. No, I've had a few in my lifetime colds, even recent years, where if I could have kept the voice it left me with, I'd be a better podcaster. But they took it away.
I know. It's the one advantage of being sick. It's the nice part. It's
Yep.
like, well, okay, you're gonna feel awful, but you're gonna sound really cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
No, just every now and then, like when I wake up in the morning, it's not any sort of congestion or anything like that, but I have a total Barry White voice.
Ooh, very nice.
Sarah's never around to actually be awake or just waking up. She's usually at work when I'm talking like this, so I'm just like,
Oh, it's too bad. She misses out on your hey baby or whatever it comes out like.
I can't even like get that low right now just to mimic it. Yeah.
It's just a
comes up.
morning thing.
You can't even demonstrate.
Yeah.
It's
I'll
what
take
we
And then
last night doing mythics with Kyle and Kristen. We went through, and that was the voice I was doing the whole thing. We had a couple of running jokes, and one of them was making fun of people that go into dungeons and just want loot right away, kind of what Bo was talking about with you. And so that was one of the constant running jokes was, "I'm not here to sit around and watch you fight tentacles. I'm here to get a bunch of treasure. I didn't sign on to be one of these active warlocks. I'm one of those just watching things warlocks."
That's what I should have done last night. I should have got in and ran that crap with you guys because I was still. I mean, I started that raid today at like 326 or something, which is fine. It was enough to do what we needed to do, and they wanted my range DPS, even though my melee dude's higher. So I went ahead and did it, but I should have run those last night. I could have got some stuff.
Yeah, they're doing double loot from the final boss. So
Yeah, I keep hearing that.
yeah,
Is that this week or what?
I think it's through the weekend, maybe.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good deal. The other joke, and I have no idea how it came up, but it's one of my favorite things. I think somebody tried to take a shortcut in the dungeon, and we made a joke that they were trying to grind the rail like Tony Hawk. And then we just started picturing that, like, that's the natural evolution of the Tony Hawk series, is it just eventually is in WoW dungeons. And it just started this trend of, as we're going through the dungeon, every time we saw something weird, it was like, "Hey, Tony, grind this rail and avoid the cultists."
Love it.
but it only works if you land an ollie and a kickflip afterwards.
So it just kept escalating. It was like, "Hey, Tony, make sure you avoid the summoning of a Cthulhu-like monster that'll destroy the world. And do a kickflip." It's my new favorite thing to imagine in a dungeon.
I love it.
Oh,
Tony Hawk.
hey, Bo's in the chat.
Yes, he is.
Who is Roe?
Bo.
Oh, Bo Schwartz.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, Monica says hi.
Ro Schwartz.
Ro Schwartz.
Mm-hmm. I'm familiar.
Anyway, I guess we could do a show.
Yeah,
Sure.
We've kind of
Yes.
already done one, but I guess we could do another one right now.
That's
Oh,
true.
that was only that. It was only like 10 minutes. I figure we need to go at least like 15.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair.
probably.
Fair.
Yeah, then I'll just like merge them together, and then there we go, full show.
Great.
Yeah, I'm done. That sounds great.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you're both ready, I can go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Welcome to Azeroth Roundtable, episode 286. My name is Ben Bumhofer. It's Friday night. We are ready to party. I don't know why. We just are. But with me, as always, is John Jagger. How's it going, John?
Hello, Ben. I'm keeping it low.
We're
Keeping
going
it low on a Friday because I can talk through the entire show if I stay low. Yeah.
Everybody, lower the lights down.
Yeah. Let's settle in for a little Azeroth roundtable.
This
It is.
table is shaped like a heart.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever that reference is, yes. Yes.
So this week we are very happy to join Low Voice John and me. That's the worst intro ever, but
Good
whatever.
job.
I'm rolling with.
Nailed it.
Hey Scott, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here. I'm always happy to be amongst you and to be on Azeroth Roundtable, where the place is Azeroth and the table is round. It's very exciting.
Except when it's a heart for
Yes.
some reason.
This is also true, but no, it's good to be here. It's we're in the midst of some fantastic expansionism in the World of Warcraft, and I'm guessing you guys are having as much fun as I am talking about it. So,
Oh my gosh, yes, it has been blowing my mind at how much I've been into this expansion, like so much so. I mean, any zone you go to, you're active, you're engaged. There's something going on, and I'm loving every single bit of it.
yeah, I was talking pre-show a little bit about this, and for whatever reason, despite the fact that I seem to be in the minority when it comes to, well, I don't know, if you count things like Reddit groups and stuff, and we talked on the instance today how this is always kind of the case. There's always a bunch of people who don't like something about the expansion, or lots of things about the expansion, but I'm perplexed by the criticism right now, and I don't get it. In fact, I'm more into the game and more focused on playing than I've ever been in the history of the game. Like, since I started the alpha in 2003, have I been this involved in World of Warcraft on a daily, nightly basis. More characters this time, more dungeons, more prep for raid, more interest in general, and I don't have a good explanation for it.
Yeah, that's been extremely true because usually when I'm playing, you are the metric by which I feel guilty about my gameplay habits. It's like, I know what I'm doing, but then I look at Scott and it's like, oh, that's what a normal human being with a life, that's what I should actually be doing. So normally when an expansion comes out, Scott's like, well, I've got about 5 levels to go before I'm max, and I'm just enjoying the content. I'm just having fun. And I'm like, well, I've hit max, and I've started raiding, and I've done all these things, and I'm an insane person. But this go around, the tables have turned. I mean, I have one character at 120. I've got a decent eye level. It's a good size. And then, meanwhile, Scott, you've got 2 120s. Yeah. Both ready to go in raids if needed.
Yeah.
All set to go.
I've got a third right on the cusp who's just moments away from being a viable help in some sort of group experience. I've just got my claws. It's got its claws into me and my claws into it in a way that I haven't done in a very long time. And it's not to say I haven't been as passionate about the game before. Certainly that's been true. I felt pretty passionate during Legion and loved that expansion mostly throughout. But like you say, I don't know if it's other games that sort of get in the way or what the deal is, but I usually just not fade off, but I get the fun out of it I'm going to have. Yeah. And it's kind of a trickle from there. This time I'm very focused on progression. The things that I like about the game, I'm way more into liking than I used to like them. The things I don't like, I'm maybe a little more adamantly against. Like, I really don't like Warfronts at all. I think they're kind of a pox on this launch. I don't understand what the heck they were thinking, other than maybe they'll improve over time. I trust in Blizzard in that regard. But as they stand right now, once through is good, twice through is like, wait a minute, why am I doing this again? And if you try a third, you're just punishing yourself. It's just lame. I know there's gear to be ground out there, but I can grind it someplace else. So, I find myself with the areas that I'm critical of, I'm more. It's weirdly more critical of them, or not. I'm not necessarily like a big complainer. I'm not making a big vocal mess about it. I'm just, I don't know. I'm like focused on, okay, that's bad. They should fix this.
Right.
That's a bad thing. Also, I don't think progression for the necklace is all that great. I think it's a little goofy and a step back from a pretty quantifiable step back from what they had with artifact weapons in the last expansion. Ironically, in the last expansion, I complained that the artifact weapons were a little too complicated. Like it's kind of a weird. They didn't quite find the middle here. But despite any of those misgivings, they're all very small. Like the actual content of the game is compelling me in a way that it never has before. And I'm playing characters I usually don't play. I'm usually a one character per expansion kind of guy. You pull out the hunter, you get Gerp and Henry all polished up, and that's the way I roll. And this time he's there, but he was second. I ran a demon hunter all the way through for the first time, and got pretty far with him and still play him, and it did some tanking and stuff I never do. I never tank. What's that? Tanking? I don't know. Like I don't tank. So those are all weird indicators of what this game's doing. And it's entirely possible that this is just me. Something switched on in me. Something that I haven't tapped into a while went off. I tried every MMO under the sun and still do. When something new comes out, some weird Korean thing, John knows this of me, and it drives him crazy, I think. But I'll hear about some weird MMO coming out from like Korea, and I'll go, "Ooh, I want to see what this dumb thing's about." And it's usually exactly what I think it's going to be. And it's fun to poke your head in. They're usually free to play, and who cares? And then you realize, well, I'm not going to play this. I'll go, and we've been playing WoW is what I'm going to do. But I've done that enough, including good solid MMOs like ESO in its current state is pretty strong. So is Guild Wars 2. I feel like maybe what happened is I went through all of that, spent a bunch of time over there, dabbled in these other one-offs that are also weird and stuff, just to see what is the world like in the wake of Blizzard, because that's what they all are. They're in the wake of this thing, and they have been for 14 plus years. So it was like a little light went off, and it coincided with this expansion release. It's like, no, the Lord of Expansions is you already have it. And not only you already have it, you're already way into this MMO as it is. It's a huge part of your life. Like, what are you doing? And it's like my brain just went, and I focused in on like every little thing about this expansion, and I can't stop playing it. So the best explanation I have. It's a little nebulous. It's kind of out there. Kind of an ethereal explanation, but for whatever reason, it's got me in a way that it hasn't got me since maybe the beginning. I don't know why.
But I think that's good, because I'm with you. I don't like island expeditions. I think they're kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like.
I like them better. I like them better in Warfronts. I'll say that.
They'd be in a nice slow race. It'd be like a no matter who wins, we all lose situation for me with the two of them. I don't like either of them. I don't care about artifact power, or not artifact power. The
Still called artifact.
Azerite power, whatever that stuff. Azerite. I don't care about Azerite, no matter how much Muradin tells me about it. I don't care. I think the necklace is dumb. I'm going down the main features of this expansion, like the back of box, and I'm like, nope, don't care, hate it, boring, lame. But overall, I feel really good about the expansion. So it's kind of confusing to have the back of box features all kind of this negative thing for me. And I'm just like, no, but I dig this. And I think I nailed it for me what it is.
Okay, I'd love to hear this, because I still don't know why it is for me. But why is it for you?
I think war mode is extremely good.
I agree.
I think it really changed my interactions in the world, and it reminded me of what it was like growing up on a PvP server, which is where I started.
Mm-hmm.
And I think on top of that, engaging in war mode and having to do PvP, and then getting on a weird kick of, I gotta have really good transmog, and getting into Battlegrounds again, and diving back into PvP in a way that I haven't in a long time, changed the way I play this game. And suddenly I got better at it. It was like I had spent so much time just hitting the keys and not caring about moving or interrupting things or using my abilities in any sort of tactical way, that the gameplay had kind of become stale. And we have even had topics where we talked about, is it time for them to change the gameplay up? Because how often can you just right click and then do 1 1 1 2 1 1 1 2 1 1 2 3? How often can you do that and have that feel fresh and good?
Right.
But suddenly I'm there, and it has changed the way I think about the game, from even the perspective of when we were running Mythics last night. We pulled a pat on a bridge, and it was a case where one patrol of trash passes another patrol of trash, and we were still working on the first one as the second one was starting to come by, and we didn't want the ads.
Yeah.
Normally it's just like, oh, well, it's going to happen. But all of a sudden, the tactical part of my brain has kicked in now, which has been dormant in WoW for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I vanished, stealthed over, and threw a distraction at the trash pack moving towards us, which made them all turn and stall, and then came back and continued fighting. And it was just enough time to buy us time to finish the one pack before we then fought the second one. Mm-hmm. And it's thoughts and things like that have not been occurring to me in this game for a long time. And all of a sudden I'm back in on it. And I think a part of that is the combat is more engaging to me this time around.
Yeah, I think that's happening for me as well. And even with my hunter, who I thought I was tired of, Beastmaster, freaking hunter, geez Louise. Ironically, he's also king of the hill in the meta right now when it comes to rating, which is hilarious to me. But because that's never been true in the past. It's like upside down world right now. But something happened earlier today while doing a world quest, and I had war mode on. I only ever turn it off if I have to go over to kill Tiras, and there's just too many of them over there. Sometimes I'll just turn it off because I got to go over there and get a world quest. I'm just like, I just need the gear upgrade, leave me alone kind of thing. But I like the option. I like to be able to go back, go in that room, turn it off, come back. It takes no time at all, and you're done. But I usually leave it on. And today I was doing a world quest in Fuldune somewhere, and there's a druid. I'm a druid. He's a druid. I want to say he's Worgen, and I'm a troll. And he's fighting something, and he finishes, and I roll up on him, and there's a moment where we both stare at each other. It's just us. Nobody's got any buddies with him. We both cast, I think, one shot of like Moonfire on each other.
Yeah. And
then just stood there.
Like
and
cats.
Like cats, and then turned and walked away. Like we both made this decision. Like, is this even worth this? Like, do we even want to do this? That was so awesome because it was an odd interaction that I wouldn't have otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have had it. Now I realize it's not that exciting because it wasn't a fight, didn't turn into anything. But in my head, I got all kinds of great lore going on about these two practitioners of this ancient forest magic are, hanging out, and they just kind of had this moment of like a stare down, a taste of what we could do, and then all right, we're leaving it here. We're leaving as equals kind of feeling. And it was weird, but I loved it. It was one of my favorite experiences in the game, this expansion. And it was this dumb thing that lasted 3 seconds. It's not that big a deal. Probably will happen again, and I won't even think twice about it next time. But there was something about that. And as a guy who avoided PvP servers, generally speaking, because I'm not good at PvP, I really like it. And I find myself less worried about ganks, and I find myself thinking, well, there's just a graveyard around the corner, and hey, the one happy side is if I die after this, I'm going to talk to Wamsamdi, and he's a badass, and I love that guy, and he'll say something dumb and funny. Like, it's a weird, I'm just like, my tolerance has gone up for things I used to hate, and I don't know why. I didn't do anything special. I didn't bonk myself on the head or take drugs or anything. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Maybe that's something that I need to get into because, like, as a healer, I've never really, hey, I'm going to go out and do war mode because, if I'm all alone, okay, I guess I'll heal myself till I die. It doesn't seem like it's going to be something that's going to be fun, solo content for me. Like, I'd love to run out with a group and try it and, maybe go on alliance killing sprees or something like that. But
right.
For me, a lot of it was leveling up. I mean, I loved the story content of this expansion so far. I mean, I haven't even finished the the war campaign, like I'm barely touched any of that stuff yet because I'm slowly getting the rep for it and everything.
Right.
But it's funny, John, you were talking about all the different like skills and abilities and stuff that you're like, kind of rethinking how you're playing. Well, being a healer, going through and leveling and stuff, it's just kind of like, okay, well, I only have these 3 attack buttons, so I'm just going to do the 1, 2, 3 the entire time. Meanwhile, I'm just kind of healing myself. But then we jump into like dungeons or something, and I'm having so much more fun because I'm actually able to do the thing I'm supposed to be doing. And I have a new talent, Ring of Peace, which is the greatest thing ever. I freaking love this new thing. I drop a circle on the ground, and then enemies run towards it, like if they're coming to attack you, and then they just bounce off, and then run towards it, then bounce off, and just keep doing that until it disappears. And like I've used that situationally so many times since I spec'd into that talent, and I love it. It's the greatest thing in the world. And as I'm going through, doing dungeons, I mean, we're going to jump into LFR on Sunday night or something to, get that weird mini quest buff thing that, I don't know, they're talking about. But until we do that, I'm not enjoying like the other content at all. Like, I know you guys don't really like Island Expeditions, definitely not, the war fronts. And for me, I mean, it's pulling teeth. I'll go in, I'm trying to gear myself up for raid and everything, but those war fronts, it's rough for someone who, I mean, I'm there to heal, and I mean, I can switch specs and DPS and do a little bit more, but it's just, not as great of an experience.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about the islands. They've grown on me. I didn't like them at first. I don't think I hate them as much as John does, or dislike. I shouldn't say hate. You don't really hate everything, or anything, but I've grown to like those, and I like them even more in groups. You can just tear it up in heroic mode in there without even thinking about it if you're playing with people who are decent. But even if you end up with some kind of crappy players, I've yet to lose one. I don't even know what that feels like yet. They're too easy to lose, I guess.
It feels bad.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you, it feels bad.
I'm guessing if you lose, it does feel bad. I haven't done that yet, and so I can't even really relate to it. And I think it would probably really piss me off if we did, because there's no reason to lose. If you lose, it's because somebody doesn't understand the idea of stick together.
Right.
But the rewards are okay. They talked today. Ian Hazukosa said today they're gonna crank up the level of reward you get out of those. Didn't say what. Is it just more Azerite power? Is it?
Well, supposedly, so I knew about the fish because our friend Ro, mutual friend Ro, seemed to, every time he did an island, he got a fish.
In fact, that's how I got my main hand. He gave me one of them.
Yeah, Ben uses a fish that Ro gave him, which is a weapon. It's a one-handed weapon that you can win in there. I did, for the first 2 weeks, I did enough to get the big Azerite quest, the guy who's there and wants you to do X number. I did that. I didn't get a single piece of loot out of the whole thing. And so I was just like, oh, this is just for Azerite? I don't really care about Azerite. That's one of my personal issues with the expansion is I always wanted artifact power, it felt like, at least up until the end when it was just kind of going into the big sinkhole. Right now, I don't know if it's because I got sick of it when it was artifact power and now I'm still sick of it as Azerite, or if just the way Azerite armor works seems a little counterintuitive because you just assume, well, I'll probably have better gear before I max this thing out anyway.
Which happening a whole lot with me, at least. And it comes to the point where like you have a fully unlocked piece of Azerite armor, but then you have a higher item level that has like maybe one trait unlocked.
Yeah.
It's like, where exactly is the right benefit and which way should I go with this?
Yeah, and I've always erred on the side of upping my item level because a lot of times that feeds into the rewards you get from your world quest. So, even if it's not DPS best at the moment, if it makes all the item levels higher for my world quest, then that's a win. So, I just haven't been that big on it, but apparently in Island Expeditions there's a chance for some pets, maybe even some mounts for items that lead to quests. Like, all this stuff, and I just sat there, and when I heard all that, I was like, does this exist? Really?
I've got the balloons.
Yeah.
Well, you get a lot of those. You get those every time, and you can spend those on stuff in that next match that you play or whatever. But I know you can get a Hosen costume, so you can basically be a Hosen if you want to be. That's very exciting because I like the Hosen. John, you hate the Hosen?
No, I like the Hosen. Ben
Oh, I
hates
thought
the
you hate.
Hosen.
Oh, it's Ben who hates the Hosen. Someone else also hates Hosen. I can't remember who it was I was talking to.
I think
oh,
Bo
Garrett.
hates it.
Yeah, Garrett hates it. Bo hates it. Most people I know hate the Hosen. I think the Hosen are great. It's as close as you're going to get to an allied race with the Hosen. So I feel like grinding that out sometimes. I haven't won that, but I did get a nice shoulder out of there, and that was a nice, on my road to, gearing up and stuff. I think the new scaling in the World Quest is really good, so that I can check in there every couple of few hours in the day and go, oh, a better chess piece is off in, Drustvar land. I'm going to go get it. I like that. That scaling is good because even if I don't have the time I want to get in to do dungeons or something, I can get in there and do what I got to do. So I'm pretty happy with a lot of that stuff.
I have a important update. This just in from Bo Schwartz.
Yeah.
He says, I ookin love the Dukin Hosen.
Oh, well then
so
he's it's thinking of then because I
it's
thought
probably Garrett. It could be Garrett.
It's probably Garrett.
Could be. Well, in defense of the Hosen, I do like the Monkey King.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't like the Monkey King in the end of the day? Yeah, I all that aside, like, it's not obvious that those are some of the. I mean, you can go to Wowhead and dig this stuff up, I guess, and people are encouraged to do that. I wish Warcraft would be a little more upfront about what you could do if you're doing a thing. It's not just for the Azerite power because you don't really know any of that intuitively. I don't think so. Other than that, like I say, I want it to be. I want that to be a really cool mode in the game. Because I'm into the idea of randomization. I think the Blizzard and WoW has gotten better over time as they have added aspects of it that are unpredictable. When loot drops, it can be Warforged or whatever the term is now. Is it still Warforged? What do they call it?
I think there's Titan and Warforged.
Yeah.
Still Titan and Warforged. Okay, I couldn't remember if they changed the terms for the expansion or not. But those kinds of things are really cool. So you have this extra chance of a cool thing. They started way back in Myst with some of these ideas on that big dumb island we used to have, and they've really gone places with it. World Quest alone are a taste of Diablo in a way that I really like. And as long as I'm getting rewarded for it in meaningful ways, I like World Quests. When they stop being rewarding, there's no point in doing it. So for me, this is just Blizzard just needs to keep making everything worth doing for some reason. And I even ran. It's so funny because John was saying yesterday that the PvP guys are the ones getting the best transmogs, and I happened when you had said that or whatever, I'd happened to be in a battleground, and I haven't done that in so long, you guys, like ages.
Yeah.
But there I was running around killing dudes, getting honor, and it was great. Like,
I did Alterac Valley, and I forgot how much I missed that.
Yeah, it's great.
Great.
It's really fun. So I don't know what this is that we're having happen right now, but it's quite the little renaissance, I suppose. And it's so not in keeping with what the rest of the WoW community seems to think is happening. They're just all like, oh, this is Warlords 2.0. Welcome to Warlords 2.0, everybody. I'm like, really?
See, I don't see any of that. Like, I mean, yeah, there's little bits and aspects and stuff that, I'm not happy with. Like, I have, John, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but Scott, have you done, like, any crafting or any of the trade skills or anything at all?
No, although I like the catch-up stuff in it. And so it was nice to, check with a Skinner or check with a cooking trainer or something and have them go, hey, check out the new stuff you get automatically because you're here with my newer characters. So that was kind of cool. But other than that, it's not that I've avoided it. I just haven't done it. I did start a fishing quest I don't even know why I did it. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm doing things I don't normally do. Like, normally I could care less about fishing. And I did fishing and watched like 3 episodes of some TV show I was into while I did it. And it was great. Was
it Barry?
No, I want to focus on Barry, so it wasn't Barry.
Okay.
But it could have been Barry. No, it was some. I can't remember what. Oh, I was watching. Somebody gave me access to the King of the Hill library.
That's a great show for fishing. Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
For fishing, it's actually perfect for almost anything. You just have it on the background. It's always it's like comfort food. The problem is no one's streaming it like legit, so I had to use a friend's Plex server. He has all the DVDs. But it was great because I got to do this thing that I don't normally do. And it also is a nice reminder that sometimes WoW is the perfect secondary activity while you're doing something else. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like all this stuff's like, oh yeah, that's right. These things are great. And if you'd asked me 2 months ago, I would have gone, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for the treadmill again. But I feel like the treadmill's different. It's like we upgraded or went to a new gym.
Well, I have a very important question for you, Scott. This one might be the biggest one that you're asked within the next couple weeks.
Jeez.
Ready?
Have you gotten into pet battling yet?
Oh my gosh.
No, I haven't. That's the one area where I'm still just perfectly annoyed with it. It's not my thing. Like, I don't know why. I'm not really a Pokemon guy either. I always think I'm going to be, and then I try to poke my head in, no pun intended, and then I come out going, I don't have time for this. And it's the same idea for me here. In fact, once in a while, here's a tip, everybody. If you don't want to do the world quests that are pet related, here's a great way out of it. If you forget that the icon is a little pet icon, you go click on the Tortillion or whatever they're called, the Tortellini or whoever, and normally what would happen is you'd say, sure, let's go, and the camera would pan out and out come your pets, and you'd be like, oh, I didn't mean to do this. I don't want to fight these guys. I don't have any pets that could even handle these dudes. They're just going to die. Here's what you do one of those on purpose. Your pets all die. Don't revive them anywhere. And then next time you click on one, the lady goes, I'm sorry, you don't have pets. I'm like, well, F off, and I go do something else.
That's right, because I carry 3 dead ones with me to remind me.
The guy, it's always been hard for me because the guy who was in charge of that stuff during Warlords when that was introduced is one of my favorite people at Blizzard. Like, straight up one of my favorite guys to talk to up there. And it was his thing, it was his project, him and his team, and I think they probably did an amazing job. It's just not my bag of chips. I just can't do it.
It's not for everybody, but if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong on this, but I think they scale to your pet level now.
Oh, do they? I thought they...
I seem to remember reading that somewhere and talking about it with Aludra at one point, but I could be way wrong and I'd completely be embarrassing myself.
Well, mine lost so horribly when I tried to fight with it that there were people who don't play video games that were remotely embarrassed for me.
Like, like that you are apparently the pet battle equivalent of Michonne from The Walking Dead. Just a chain of 3 dead pets just dragging on the ground.
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly what it is. It's a monkey. Bananas is in there, and the chicken that has a rocket on his back, the rocket chicken. Is that what he's called? Just the rocket? It was like a BC pet. And I don't know what the other one is, like a skunk or something. And they just don't do anything, and they're there. They're just placeholders. I mean, maybe one day I'll have a turnaround on that, because there's plenty I'm having a turnaround on this time around.
They're just to let the other pets know who's boss.
Yeah, I never say never. I mean, my biggest problem isn't with the way Blizzard's done it. It's that it is kind of, because Blizzard has basically just done it the way that it's done in everything where there's pet battles.
Yeah,
it's just that template, and it's all kind of the same.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I don't know why I don't like it. I think you know what it is. I think it's this. I think after every pet battle, all your pets should go back to full health if they didn't pass away, if they didn't die. That sounds dumb.
It's the one.
No, it wasn't at all, actually.
It would fix Pokemon for me. Like, I'd play Pokemon if I didn't have to feed the damn things. And I don't just mean like Pokemon Go. I mean, like, all the Pokemon iterations. When I send in something to fight, and it just barely hangs on with the thread of its life, but you finish and you've killed the other thing or captured it, he should just be back to full. Like everything else in this game, be back to full. It drives me nuts. And it's just a philosophical problem I have with that kind of gameplay. I could say similar things about why I don't like tower defense, or why I can't stand certain other kind of genres. I still hate random encounters and JRPGs. I like the actual RPG part, and I like the actual J part. I don't like random encounters. They're the worst. And by J part, I mean the Japanese part. That's right.
I was about to say, well, Scott, it's good to know that you're pro role-playing game and pro Japan. Into both of them.
Just realized after I said it how dumb that was. But
I think my issue is that it's just regular animals a lot of the time. And, like, you can sell me on, hey, look at this Squirtle. And I'm like, yeah, Squirtle. I don't even know what that is, but it seems all right. And then you put sunglasses on that Squirtle. I'm like, oh, hell yes. Now it's even better. Now it's a Squirtle in sunglasses. That's a cool thing. But then the WoW equivalent is it's a tiny turtle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, but do I it looks like a turtle,
Yeah.
you know? And then I'm like, all right, now go fight. And I don't know.
Yeah, of 1,000 pets, there are some very exciting ones in there. I can tell you.
Didn't we all get mad at Michael Vick for this earlier? Like, why am I okay? Why am I getting experience and people are applauding me? Oh, he's very good at making animals kill each other.
Yeah, he is very good. Those pit bulls really, they really nailed it with those pit bulls. I mean, here's the thing. I also have similar problems with companion, what are they called? The missions, the companion mission stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I like them a lot. But what I want is, I want to see, okay, here's what I want to do. I want to see that there's a world quest in Kultiris that's a pain in the ass for me to do right now because it's lunch and I got to go somewhere, I got a show. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that one right now because I don't have time, but it's going to disappear by the time I can log in later tonight. So I would like Jim, Bob, and Larry to go take care of that while I'm gone. And that's fine if it takes 2 hours, go do it.
Yeah.
I want to assign actual quests to these guys, not just these ethereal ones that don't exist.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
I think that'd be cool. But again, I think the reason I'm even thinking of these things is because I'm playing so much. I mean, that's where my head's at. Because now I'm thinking of like stuff I would improve and why would I change this and this is a good idea, this is a bad idea. Like I've gotten way more like video game developy in my head this time around than I usually do. Usually I'm just like, oh, well, I don't like that, so I'm not going to play that and I'll do something else. This time I'm like, what if they did this? And I don't know what that's a sign of, but
I think that's where they're at too, from what Ian was answering in a lot of the things today. I mean, I think there's an element of where a lot of this anger is coming from is we all kind of said it. There's things we don't love, but I don't feel like any of us put all our eggs in that basket. Yeah. And so when that didn't pan out, I think a lot of us are like, well, let's see what they do with Island Expeditions. Because I'll tell you, I know exactly what my issue is with Island Expeditions. One is the pacing, because I get there and I want to take the time to appreciate what's different about the last time I was there. You get a cool quest, like, oh, here's a person locked up in a cage. What should we do? But when you have this rush of, oh, I got to race to get the Azurite, I'm not really thinking about the person in the cage or what's going on with that. It's just like, can we do anything with this? No? Okay, let's go. We got to go. We just got to go kill more turtles. Go get them. And it's a very violent show about turtles today, by the way. I apologize. And so it's just a weird pacing issue, which he said he likes for this incarnation of it. Yeah. But he said he is looking at maybe different ways to use the same tech and style at maybe a slower pace of content, which I would love. Because another reason why I think I struggled with that is my first experience with Island Expeditions was the people who do Critical Role did a edition of Celebrity D&D with Terry Crews. I'll plug it because everybody should go check it out. It was very good. And they went through essentially a modified D&D campaign to be World of Warcraft, doing an Island Expedition. 3 players on the Horde, 3 players on the Alliance, racing, and then a big fight at the end. And obviously, being D&D, it was very slow-paced, and there was quests, and they were taking their time, and there was none of this race element, and it made the island seem fascinating and have a history and all these things. And I was like, man, if that's what Island Expeditions are, this will be great. And then I got in, and you could see elements of that. You could see where that inspiration was, but then you wanted it to go that extra mile, and it just wasn't there. But I feel like they could get there, and if they did, I would be all in. Because with my love of Diablo in my background, changing up random elements in a procedurally generated, it's not entirely procedurally generated, but, random elements to go through and compete and do a thing, like, that's in my wheelhouse. I love that sort of stuff.
Sure. And I think that's where my desire for this stuff came from too. In fact, I've had a weird love-hate thing with World of Warcraft since its inception, and that is that it wasn't like Diablo, and I'll explain what I mean by that. I'm fine with the game differentiating itself, but as someone who was playing some MMOs before this game, EverQuest, a couple others of similar ilk, they they all, were different or whatever. But when it came to Blizzard, I thought, well, what's their heritage with RPGs? The only thing you could really point to at that point was the Diablo series. 1 and 2 were the Blizzard anchor points for what is an RPG to Blizzard. Everything else was RTS, so you couldn't really say. And so my expectation was that I would run around this new world of Warcraft in the world, and I would kill a troll, and I would get something more than troll sweat. I would get a better weapon, and this would happen a lot. Like I would get gear all the time. Think about the way it drops in Diablo. In your even just your initial leveling progression, you're always like, ooh, a better yellow item. Okay, swap it out with the other one. Compare them, see how they look. I thought that was going to be how it was. WoW is nothing like that. WoW is a sort of, well, they're better at it now, like I said, with Titanforge, Warforged, all that other stuff. But for a long time, it was just, well, here's the item you'll get if you go do these things for us. Okay, thanks for doing those things. Here's the thing we promised you. There's your upgrade. And it may have taken me this long to finally be okay with that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like when I run a dungeon, I did we beat the first three bosses and banged our head against the fourth in a normal version of Uldir today on a stream. And we were very proud of how we did with the first three bosses. In fact, we one-shot Mother, which made me very happy because we couldn't even one-shot her in LFR, the group I was in. And so that was awesome. So we did really well, and we're very happy with ourselves. We get done, and I realize I don't have anything to show for this. I don't hardly have any gold even because I had to pay for repair bills, and I just don't have anything to show for it. In a Diablo world, I would have had 100 drops here and there, at the very least, some crafting conversion that would have done really well for me, in terms of having extra crafting materials. And I have to just get lucky. Mm-hmm. And even if I buy the medallions or whatever they're called, sure, it enhances my luckiness, but not by much. So I still just have to get lucky. And that's fine. I think I'm finally getting around to it. But there's a piece of that I really miss, and every time I play this, I go, that was like 2 hours, and I got nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Other than I had fun with my friends, and, we all had a good time here, and I wouldn't change that for the world, and that was great. I mean, I don't want to poo-poo that stuff, because that's also been really good, this expansion. Mm-hmm. Just more friends, more people to play with, that kind of stuff that I'm used to. But I'm always just a little bummed that those Diablo-isms aren't as embedded in WoW as I wish they had always been. But this might be the first expansion where I finally come to grips with that and said, yeah, Scott, this is Blizzard, and yeah, they have a legacy, but they're never going to be that. This is never going to be that kind of numbers going up. This isn't going to be that kind of rapid progression. You're never going to feel that same thrill that you had in 2096 or wherever I played the first one. And it's okay. I've come to grips with it. It's okay.
Well, does it feel like you're actually seeing more random loot drop now as well? Like, just various greens and stuff, like while you were leveling or going through regions and stuff?
Well, I feel like it's been less so, though, with this expansion. I think Legion felt like I was getting more weird stuff as I went. There were more treasure chests with weirder stuff in it, not just Azerite power, not just war materials, or what the last ones were called. I forget what they were called. It seemed like there was more variety to that stuff, and maybe it's because that was the first time they'd really gone crazy with it. In Warlords, they dabbled, but it wasn't quite the same. So finding a silver chest on the map in this particular expansion in BFA is still cool and exciting, but there's something about it that just is slightly less of a draw. Or I feel like I'm just, and I know they were like this before, but it feels like, okay, there were these set points on the map. There are going to be treasure chests there. I either get them or I don't. And maybe it's worn off to the point where I realize those are just preset things and they were going to only ever be there once. And I wish those were more random. I wish they would just pop up in the way that, well, I guess herb nodes and mining nodes aren't random either. But they feel more random because they're more common, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, stuff like that. And if everything's so scripted and laid out and set, I tend to rebel against that, at least mentally, and sometimes WoW falls back into that. But I would say also one of the areas they've really improved is class abilities are a lot more dynamic. So stuff procs at weird times. You're trying to maximize your ability to do a certain thing, and it's not just 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. It's often now 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, hit 5 now, because if you don't hit 5 now, you're going to lose the thing that procced for you.
Yeah.
Like that seems to be happening way more across the board, and that provides a lot of that same randomization I'm talking about. So I'm just all for that, and the more they do that, the happier I am. So.
Yeah, in fact, bringing up the classes, that's something I actually did want to ask you about. So I know traditionally you do play DPS classes, and I know you broke into tanking and everything with your Demon Hunter, which, I mean, that's awesome. On my Demon Hunter, I've only actually done the DPS, which that's just a fun class anyway, just zooming around and I-beams and everything like that. But have you found that you actually have a preference between the two, between like a ranged combat versus melee?
Well, depends on when you ask me. So John heard the story on Core the other night, but I got kicked from 2 tanking jobs. And neither one of them, I could not figure out why I was being kicked. I was doing the dance, I was avoiding the thing, I was keeping aggro, I was doing all the stuff you're supposed to do, and I got kicked anyway because some DPSers in the back were being super frivolous with who they were pulling and when. And and when I told the story today, Patrick was like, "Oh, hey Scott, welcome to the world of tanks. We've known this for a decade and a half." And he's probably right. Tanks know what this is like. Healers know what this is like. If you're with a bunch of randos and they don't want to take responsibility for some dumb thing they did, they're going to blame Ben the healer or Scott the tank because they don't know, what it's the easiest thing to do. And they know if they kick you out, there's someone waiting right behind them to get in. So it's like no loss for them. Even if all they're doing is trolling, it's no loss for them. So other than those experiences, though, I really do enjoy that. I enjoy the challenge of it. More than I thought I would. That said, I definitely don't think I'm great at it by any stretch, but I've run plenty of heroics this expansion. They're really fun to queue quickly into, which is nice as a tank. And then I've held my own and done fine with just these couple of exceptions, and I found it really rewarding. So yeah, the answer is yes, I like it a lot. Now, if you're asking whether I prefer it or not, to me it's more of a question of, do I prefer melee versus ranged? Mm-hmm. Because whether I'm Vengeance or whether I'm Havoc, to me they're kind of the same, except you're just playing them differently. But you're still a melee character, and that's new for me because I usually am always ranged all the time. So that's a big step in a different direction for me this go around. And it's nice, but it's also nice to dust the hunter off and play from far away. So I'm kind of getting the best of both worlds right now, and I like them all.
So I think we found our solution yesterday to your getting kicked problem.
Oh,
and the trick is bring at least a couple friends, just so you outnumber whoever the randos are. Because not only do you remove their power to kick you, but you'll still get the salt, but it's a more passive-aggressive salt. Mm-hmm. So we were going through the Haunted Mansion dungeon, whatever it's called, Wadecrest Manor.
Wadecrest Manor's awesome. I love it in there.
I love it. I don't think this guy knew that the doorways randomly open. I think he just assumed you could go wherever, which is not how that dungeon works.
No.
So we're making our way through, and we're approaching the final bosses, or not the final bosses, but the 3 hags. I think 2 bosses still left after that. And as we're going there, this guy's been just quiet, and every now and then he'd say something. And we're going through at our own pace, and we're laughing, and we're all on comms. Not him, because we don't want to talk to a rando. Gross. But we're just having fun. We're experimenting with things. We've wiped on stuff we shouldn't have just because we were goofing around. I accidentally aggroed something that's in the basement while we were up on the surface somehow, and that was exciting because it pulled way more stuff than we were ready for. So we're having generally a good time, but we're on our way to the 3 hags, and finally this guy had just clearly had enough. And he wasn't going to drop, because heaven forbid he has to go through it again. But he was finally going to let us know. And he goes, "You guys took a really weird route through this place." So I wrote back, "Well, it's a weird house."
Yeah, that's a perfect response.
Yeah,
you're supposed to follow that little thing. You're supposed to follow a little fairy pointer, right?
Yeah, well, this was before the end, so that hadn't shown up yet.
Oh, okay.
And I think what he got confused by was there was a hall that looked like it led right to them, and we went down it, but the door was closed. So we turned around and had to go back upstairs and then around a banister and all of that. And he was like, this is a really weird way to go through here. And it's just, dude, these are the doors that are open. We didn't design this to be the random door open house that it is, but it is, and this is the way we had to go.
Yeah, no, see, that's the other thing is Blizzard has this challenge. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday or today. They have this challenge. They want to make new and interesting gameplay mechanics, and they want things to be, not feel samey, so that everybody just memorizes these 3 or 4 things that happen, and then they just, do it over and over and over again. But that challenge comes with people going, well, you guys sure took a weird way around this place, because they're just not willing to do it, and that's frustrating. I don't know how you ever get any better at that. Blizzard does all they can. I feel like they've made it as possible. But at the end of the day, I mean, friends. That's it. Like MMOs, massively multiplayer. Perhaps my enjoyment this time around is because I'm doing more of that. And less of, hey, I'm out here on my own trying to figure this garbage out with a bunch of strangers I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, my dungeon experience has been absolutely fantastic. We've basically, Tetsemi has been the tank. I've been the healer. And, we've had 3 people from FERT with us. And you just kind of go through. You get to a boss. It's like, okay, let's stop and read what we have to do and figure it out and make sure everybody's clear and everything. Been going at a good, nice pace. And especially with, all the trash that's in these dungeons, it's, we're just taking our time and something's coming. We're CCing, we probably don't have to, but you know what? It's making things easy. And, even though I do have the popcorn toy from the Dark Moon Fair and I'll pop that up every time we go over a boss strategy, regardless, no one's having a bad day.
You're all having a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a similar thing happen in this, or I just noticed in the chat room today when we were running our run through that dungeon or through that raid. Somebody in there said, this is after about 20 minutes of explanations and strategy talk, and that time goes fast when you're the ones having the discussion, so you're not really thinking about that taking too much time. And somebody in the chat says, and I'm thinking the opposite. I'm thinking they're all bored, right? I would think. And somebody pipes up and he goes, oh, I missed this. Because it makes me want to get back into the game. I miss just this team trying to work out what's best before they pull again. And I thought, yeah, there is something to that. And even those just watching pick up on that. And it's great. Love that.
I mean, I'm a visual learner, so I usually check out on the first explanation. What I call the row zone. When that starts up, I'm like, nope. Gonna alt tab, gonna check Twitter, gonna not pay attention. I know Ben will summarize it at the end anyway. He'll give me the Twitter response for this Facebook post that just went up. And then we die, probably because I didn't pay attention. But none of it was going to stick. But I do love that, okay, let's examine what happened. Because that's exactly what we were doing last night. A lot of us had never done the heroic or the mythic versions of these dungeons. So there was an element of, oh, this fight wasn't hard before. What happened? What's different? Oh, you got to burn bodies on this? Well, that's a new mechanic. Okay, I guess we should burn some bodies then. I wasn't really thinking. We were just throwing the fire at the living guys. We were just like, get out of here, you crazy knucklehead. And then next thing we know, there's 30 of them all around us, and we're like, what happened? They came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's a learning experience, and that stuff's fun. And, we like to learn on the fly and learn by doing and all of that. And sure, there are people out there that just don't have time for it. Just, I'm here for my loot. Give me my free loot. Let me move on. But that's not how I play.
No.
That's some of the funnest times, John, you and I had in the beginning of Wrath of the Lich King, when, it was a group of 5 of us. We were all on comms. And this was before the adventure guide, which didn't have all the different abilities and everything listed out. And we were just trying to figure out, the nexus. It's like, why do we keep dying on this last boss? We keep getting frozen. It's like, oh, you just need to jump. Just the little tiny things that are thrown in there. And once that realization finally hits, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
It's fun doing the strategy for that stuff.
They've always done a good job at capturing the Mario law of threes thing in dungeons and in fights like this, because while they may be a little more complex and a little more drawn out, it's really the same principle at play there. It's like you've got to do these things, and if you do them in the right timing, you're going to move on to the next phase. Well, if you don't, you're going to bang your head against the wall a little bit and go, all right, what am I doing wrong? And you'll beef up your skill at it. You'll get better at it. And now before you know it, you're doing it, and you're on to the final phase where you just have to hit, Bowser in the face once or whatever. And the game does that really masterfully, but really that's what it is. It's what it boils down to. And there's other aspects to it, like, gear score matters and DPS races matter. And, the obviously a more complex sort of way of looking at a boss fight, but they've really gotten, they deserve credit for figuring out that this end game content is really just a series of dances and memorization, and not in a boring way. So that, and not that, and not just that, but there's 20 plus of you who have to do that at the same time. You've all got a role to play in the memorization and in the dance you have to make. And it's brilliant. It's really smart. And other MMOs either steal this idea and do okay with it, or they don't at all and end up having no end game. They're the only ones that have figured this out. And I think they don't get enough credit for that. Because a lot of us say, oh, well, we've been doing this for so long. And how many expansions? 8 expansions. They're doing the same frickin' stuff. And here's a big dungeon with a big bad guy. And he says things as you try to kill him. And woo, y'all got some gear at the end. It's easy to be minimalist about it. But it's the only model right now for this kind of endgame stuff. There's nothing else. Nobody else has outdone that or come up with a better idea that I'm aware of.
Even the games that are the quote-unquote more modern takes on MMOs, like Destiny, still boil down in their raids to, here's a boss fight with some mechanics you got to try to figure out to try to get around it. Yeah.
No, you're right. Here, let's go do, or yeah, exactly. Like, I've been tempted to get this. Everybody's speaking pretty highly of the Destiny expansion that just hit. I've been sort of tempted to get it, but haven't done it because I'm playing too much WoW. I have WoW to play right now, but yeah, like that all boils down to the same thing too. It's not going to be that different than in most games like this. And Blizzard just they just do a great job with it, and I don't think they get enough credit. Especially this new content. We had so much fun today. The mechanics in that stuff are as good or better than they've ever been. That mother fight was something else, man. Just a great set of things happening. Felt right, looked good, fit the lore, kept you on your toes. Like, everything you want to have happen there was happening, and I think that's damned impressive.
Yeah, one of the big things that I'm always impressed with is like all the new mechanics that come in with every dungeon, every raid, and everything. I mean, there's been so many different fights over the years and stuff that, at times we used to be able to say things like, hey, remember Patchwork? It's like that, except this mechanic has changed in there. But now,
that's true.
Especially with like the Legion raids and everything, since they haven't released too much raiding wise for this expansion yet, of course. I mean, there were so many new different like ideas behind what we're like. There's a cake boss, a boss where you run and you have to eat cake. I mean, it's like stupid little things like that are a ton of fun, but just the creativity and stuff that's going into all of these mechanics is like mind-boggling. That they're still coming up with new things, and it's something that I agree with you. They definitely don't get enough credit for, and it's surprising that a new raid wing comes out and all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, this is something entirely different. I never thought about this before, and I'm really enjoying that aspect of it.
Yeah, they've come so far since like Molten Core and stuff. Like, it's like a different planet,
Yeah.
Like there was that stuff is we all got a taste of it. Was it Warlords or last expansion? I don't remember. They're like, yeah, we're bringing back Molten Core, revive your memories. In the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, there's a few guys in a boardroom laughing their heads off right now because they know this is bad. They know it's bad. But at the time it happened, at the time it came out in the first place, there was nothing like this anywhere. So they've been able to iterate with it, grow with it, expand with it, and that stuff felt really tight to me. Like if other people have complaints about different aspects of this expansion, I don't think that can be one, at least not yet, because those mechanics are awesome. It's real good stuff. Smartly implemented, as my dad would say.
I was just talking about Molten Core the other day, actually yesterday, because there was the fight where it was, yeah, just don't be in melee range of the boss. And it's like, okay, great, I'm a rogue. I guess I will stand back here with my crossbow and shoot it, because it was back when we had bows. And it was just, all right, this is a fun fight because we don't have any special moves on it. So it was just attack with a bow, attack with a bow. I would like to attack with the bow again.
You guys had bows. I totally forgot you guys had bows. Totally forgot. Those were the days. I mean, we used to have, hunters had, all kinds of weird gear back then, but bows is a pretty strange thing to have. I mean, it's not strange for a rogue to have a bow. It's just that they thought, Well,
now we have pistols.
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine.
I mean, that's how I found out that I wouldn't have really enjoyed raiding Molten Core back in the day because I was a fire mage and everything was immune. Since I'd spec'd everything into fire at that point, I'm just like, okay, I'll cast Frost Bolts and do like 0 damage on everything because it's not empowered at all. That was a ton of fun when our lowly level 70 guild went in there.
Well, especially at a time when Frost Mage meant leveling, and that was it. Like, that's all you had that spec for. I think it was widely considered common that every spec or every class had, if it had 2 or 3 specs, well, they all had 3 specs or more, I guess then, but whatever your 2 or 3 specs was, one was to level, the other 2 were either a healer or a tank spec, or multiple DPS specs that were meant for raiding and end game. And that was it. Like, that's why you had them. I'm not sure. I'll bet everything. If they could go back and redo all this in the thinking they have now, it'd be like demon hunters across the board. There'd be 2 specs. There'd be like a utility tank / healer spec, and there'd be a DPS spec for everybody.
I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but it just feels like it. Because back then, if you played Beastmaster, that's why you played Beastmaster, because you were leveling in the game. There was no other reason to play it. So you get to end game and you were suddenly survival, you were suddenly marksman, and that was just the way it was. And, same with Fury. Nobody was a Fury warrior in end game. Are you kidding me? It was ridiculous. You just level with it. So yeah. It's funny how that stuff changes.
Yeah.
Or when they just don't know what to do, and it's like, well, you could be a rogue or rogue or rogue. Like, what do they do different? Well, they all do damage. Okay, but what makes them different? Well, the damage. It's a different damage.
Yeah.
One poisons a little bit more, but that's about it.
Yeah. It's still not the differential, it's still there, but there is something funny about the 3 DPS on basically a melee class. It's like, well, what do they do different from each other? Look over there. It's a rogue. Where?
Yeah. No, it's true. It's a funny thing. I mean, the weird ones have always been druids, though, right? Because they've got their 5 specs, and they're 4. Sorry,
4th specs. They're the Taco Bell of specs.
They really are.
They got 4th meal.
And this is another expansion that marks the first time I've played around with a druid, and I really like him, like, a lot.
What spec are you doing?
Leveled with freaking moon chicken, except I bought the thing that made it so I was never had to be a moon chicken. Those moon chickens are terrible and should never exist. I freaking hate that thing. But so I leveled that way, mainly because I like that. I wanted to sort of be a caster guy, but also because there was woefully the word was that Feral was woefully underperforming, so I didn't pick Feral. Although that's better now, I guess. There was a hot fix or something this week, or maybe it was patched where he got buffed a lot. So may check Feral out later. But also don't feel like being a rogue, because Feral's basically a rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
wouldn't want to be a rogue. Heaven forbid you play the best class in the game.
I don't know why it is. I mean, again, this will be for another expansion down the road. We'll have another episode of the show, and you guys will say, so what's different this time? I'll say, I don't know. I found the rogue. I've discovered it.
Did you guys hear about this? They got a grappling hook.
Yeah.
Brian Ibbett can teleport through the floor in Orgrimmar.
Oh, that's fun. I love it when that happens.
Yeah.
He goes to the blue place.
It does.
Yeah, I've been to the blue place.
We all want to be to the blue place eventually. But
yeah.
He's your guy for that. But yeah, like I probably will come around on it. And truth is, if I played it right now, I would. But I cannot at this point imagine, despite the mage just sitting there, I can't imagine doing a 4th character in this expansion and doing too much with them.
Yeah.
Threes.
But
already.
what happens when you unlock the Magar orcs?
Jeez, don't remind me. I spend $25 and change somebody over.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
But then you don't get your cool armor. What about that armor, Scott?
Yeah, but I don't want to go from 20. Well, okay, with a orc, I might do a 20 to max just for the armor and do it like a warrior because I haven't really played a warrior much either.
They're fun.
Yeah, warriors are pretty fun. Although everyone's telling me they're crappy at tanking right now, but I don't know how true that is. But that's end game, so who cares? It wouldn't be part of this. But
Warriors are fun.
yeah, I genuinely would like to have a warrior in my character list that I can say I played and liked and got to max and all that, but I just can't imagine going through Legion content again. Cannot imagine going through this content a fourth time right now.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds horrific to me to do.
What if you were on a really sweet Magar orc warrior, just charging shit and smacking it with swords?
It's entirely what you say is cool. Also, I'm so into transmog. Do I really care about that set?
How Mad Maxy is it, I guess is the question, right? Do we need to pull up a picture of it?
Yeah, you may have to see. I have a feeling it's very traditional spiky orky.
Probably
business.
has spikes of some kind. Ben, can you get a picture of that?
I'm working on it.
All right. We got to show you because we got to... Look, Scott, if there's one thing I enjoy in this world, it is tempting you towards things you said, I'm not sure I want to do that.
Yeah.
Whether it be buying costumes for Jaina or buying Spider-Man or...
it's a great game. You need to buy Spider-Man.
I did buy Spider-Man. John got me to do it. It's John's fault. And that game's great. It's incredible. And I kind of thought I was going to get it eventually anyway, but I was playing so much WoW, I thought, if I buy this now, like, Red Dead Redemption is going to come out, and nothing is going to get played then. Like, that's all I'm going to be playing. And so John did it. He made me do it again.
Yeah.
It's John's fault.
Once Red Dead comes out, though,
I know. Everything goes to poop that week or that month. I'm telling you, it's not going to be good.
All right, we sent you the link, Scott. It could get pretty. It's sort of Mad Maxy. It's definitely tribal.
Little.
Let me see here.
I mean, mix some of that in with everything else that you've got, and
yeah,
I think you're right on it.
How do you do the chat now?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't updated.
Okay, I found it. Yeah. He's pretty cool. I mean, there's no denying that that's cool.
He's cool. The look on his face in the first part of that picture, not so much. He's like somebody who just discovered butterflies for the first time in his life, but
yeah, you're not kidding.
It gets cooler from there.
I couldn't deny how cool that is, but that is also very Horde. So it's not as Mad Maxy as I'd like. And for those wondering what I'm talking about, like Gerp, I have the best stuff for Gerp. Like, he looks like he's right out of Mad Max world. He can only ride around on that freaking motorcycle trike thing they made a couple years ago. His gun looks like it was taped together with duct tape. It's just awesome. So if there's ever a chance of more of that from a character, weirdly that helps decide what I'm doing these days.
Yeah.
Which is also, I know it's a thing John does. You do that a lot, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for a guy that changed his race 6 times or whatever.
All for lore reasons. Well, and because the stealth animation for trolls was dumb, but otherwise, all for lore.
Try to explain that to me. What looks bad about it?
It's hard to explain. It's like they're doing what is it? It's like they're doing fake sneaking.
Oh, like total Hanna-Barbera cartoon sneaking?
I think so. I don't know
like Scooby and Shaggy sneaking through
the problem with lady trolls is they're tall, because it was a lady troll.
Yeah.
They're tall, but for their sneaking, they crouch maybe 2 inches lower than what they are by default. So it's like, you're not sneaking, you just got slightly lower. You did what I do if there's a tree branch that's a little low. You go, look out. And that's supposed to be you invisible? That's all you did.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. That's hard to argue with. That sounds goofy. I don't think I'd like that either. But I really do like the trolls, generally speaking, and Zandalari trolls are cool. So
Yeah, they're super cool.
if my Blizzard desire right now is let me switch to, or let me do a posture fix on the existing trolls.
Yeah.
If you're let me do that with existing orcs, why can't I do that with existing trolls? I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
We need it on, Horde chiropractic is important because there's those undead that are around the town that are the guard undead that stand up perfectly straight and they look badass.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so we need upright undead. We need upright darkspear trolls.
Yep.
We've already got upright orcs across the board.
Mhm.
If we do that, I think we're done. I think we're done with vertical alignments, but
Well, you know what? To make the horde really distinct, why don't we go the other way on the rest of the races and let them hunch over?
Oh, I see. So, yeah.
oh, so the alliance doesn't feel left out. Time for crooked humans. Urgh.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the idea of a crooked human, though. That's a cool idea. I vote for crooked human.
Someone who's been, working the fields all their whole life,
Yeah.
I thought I'd give up tilling for a little adventuring.
I'm all down with this idea. Let's have some equity across the factions. But I did. I mean, as soon as they made that possible with orcs, I went and turned Gerp into a upright orc because they're badass and they look amazing.
Yeah.
And then the way they stand, it's not even that they're upright. It's the way they're standing there going, kind of got a little sideways little thing going. They're just like, ugh. It's just great. And the other ones are just going, ugh.
It's the difference between an orc general and an orc peon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally,
Posture is important.
that's right. That's what my mom always said.
Everybody sits up a little straighter. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm an orc. Some people don't like it. Some people are kind of weirdly purist about it, but not me.
Well, some people still don't like character models.
Yeah. I mean, they almost feel like a whole new. I mean, weirdly, as soon as I did that to Gerp, I went, "This is like a whole new character."
Yeah.
It feels like I got some bonus race this expansion, which is a weird thing to think, but. And that also makes me think, why would I want a Magor orc just because he's brown? I don't know, man. My guy's kind of brown too. Plus, he's covered in armor. You can barely tell where the brown is.
I don't know. You're gonna unlock them, and you're gonna just think, man, look at that sick brown orc right there. It's gonna get you.
I still okay. No, I have one more complaint about Blizzard since you brought up the racial thing.
Okay.
John's always bringing up race.
It's always about race with me.
Yeah,
Really
I don't
is.
think race, but it's fine. I think it's ridiculous that this is an expansion where one of its selling points, literally the reason for you to buy it, as is often the case every other expansion, is races. And yet, if you want a Nightborn, or let's say you're just returning to this thing, you've been gone for a long time or whatever. If you want a Nightborn, sorry, you're going to have to go back to the Broken Isles. And you're going to have to go grind crap out there. Now, you might say, well, it doesn't take that long. It would take 10 days or something.
That's still 10 days.
It's still 10 days. Plus, as far as I know, you still got to do, like, all of Suramar or something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. Suramar goes forever.
Yeah.
I had flying unlocked, and I was max level, and everything died from me looking at it, and I didn't want to finish Suramar.
No, Suramar is beautiful and a wonderful place, and I love its lore bits and everything. I don't ever want to go there again and play any of it because it's a Slytherin freaking serpentine butthole. I don't like it at all, and I'm happy to say I don't ever want to go back there. But if you want one of those Nightborn, you have to do that. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That should just have been. I understand when it was pre-patch. I totally get it. Having people get it early, great carrot to get people excited. They've already unlocked a lot of stuff. May as well get it now. I think that's great. But when you launch a new expansion and it's predicated on this idea that, oh, hey, new races this time, some of them sure have them time gated in the new content. But if you're going to already have those guys, the antlered freaking Taurens, the High Mountain Taurens, Lightforge, Draenei, and whoever else is on the other side, the other elf people.
Other elves.
They should just be available after a quest or a scenario or something, but make them available. It's ridiculous to me.
No, I'm with you. It should be unlocked early through the rep and then unlocked later for everyone, especially when you're into a new expansion.
Right.
Yeah. And people are getting the quest to go there to unlock them, to find out that they have to go on the previous expansion's content in order to do it.
Yeah, even though they have the expansion, and that's cool. They don't have to go buy that or anything. I get it, but that's asking a lot of any player to go do that. Like, it just seems so backwards to me. I feel like it's like if they just didn't think of it. Like they're not actually. They didn't think about what this would mean, or that it would be this weird, and that they'll fix it later. Like at some point in this expansion, they're gonna go, and you can get them now, and I'll go, woo! I'm glad I waited, because I don't want to go do any of that Suramar stuff.
Well, speaking of all of that, last question for you, Scott. Of all the new races, which one do you want on the Horde side most?
Well, there's a lot of talk about those little Volperi fox people. I don't know how I feel about those. Not usually a cute race kind of guy. I like big gnarly stuff. I like undead and things like that. So if I had to pick, I mean, I think I still want the what are they?
Volpera?
No, the Viking dudes.
The
Vicryl.
Vicryl. I want Vicryl. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And they probably would end up being Alliance or something dumb, and they'd have to, worry about that. Either that or like over in Drustvar, there's like these big, tall dudes with a lot of trees and spider webs hanging off of them. They're all just, as far as I can tell, just there's nothing in the story where you get to be them or hang around with them or anything. They're just kind of zombies, but I want one of those guys. They're really cool. But that's what I like. I like big, nasty, hulky stuff in my MMOs. I always have. That's just the stuff I prefer. It's why sometimes it's hard playing the Demon Hunter, because he's a little tiny man. Little man in his little tights going, wee! I wish he was just a big dude. Like, let me be. In fact, that's what I want. That's the other thing I want. John and I have talked about this. Nightborn Demon Hunter. Duh. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have my $25, Blizzard. Like right this second, you'd have cash in your hand from me. And a million other people are ready to make this jump. I don't want to be that little weasel anymore. I want to be a big, tall elf, man.
You're harshing on my blood elves, bro.
I know. And you love them, and I get it. And I don't want to harsh on them too hard, but they're just weenies.
But he's got gnarly chest tattoos that glow.
Yeah, right. It's not making up for everything else about him. He feels like he's just some hipster who thinks the best donuts are in, Oregon or something.
You know what's hilarious, though, is that the fun fact, everybody. It's time for a fun fact.
Oh, I love fun facts.
The version of the Blood Elf male that we have is actually significantly beefed up from the original plan. Because people were like, he looks too weenie, he looks too much like a girl. So they muscled him up. So the character that you're calling a little weenie man is actually a buffed up version of what they were originally going to put in the game.
Well, that's good, I guess, to know. But I still say not beefy enough.
You need more beef.
More meats.
Where
the meat's going? Because he is just a little weenie man, and he's not. The girls are fine. I don't typically play female in games like this. I don't know why. It's just not part of my deal. But nothing against them. But I think they're vastly superior in this case. Like the female. Well, that's what you play.
Yeah.
They're better than the males. The males are obnoxious, and they remind me of the kind of people, if I knew them in real life, that I would not want to spend much time with.
Oh, I keep forgetting to do this, Scott. I resolved, and Bo told me, he made me swear I would capture this for you, and I forgot about it. There is a blood elf in down at the docks, kind of over by the island expedition guy. He's in front of the boat that goes to the Motherlode dungeon. There's a blood elf standing there. When you click him, he has one line that he repeats over and over again, and I think if you hear it, you will possibly urinate blood.
Really?
Yes. He
Why?
says something like, and I'm sick, so I probably can't even do the voice, but he goes, "Is it hot in here, or is it just me? Oh,
Oh,
wait,
my
it's
gosh.
me."
Yeah, see? This is what I'm talking about. I can't deal with it. They're just, I don't know. Elves are tricky. I like cool, dark, trippy elves that are like more like the Nightborn or the ones what's the Alliance get? What are they?
Elves.
Void elves, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's just cool. These guys are like, yeah, well, I've come in from town today, see, and I'd like to kill some people if you don't mind.
They're 1920s gangsters. Okay, but hold on, Scott, because now I'm picturing a blood elf with a Tommy gun and a cool suit, and it seems pretty good.
No, it seems bad.
No, it's great.
bad.
It's
They're
even
more
better.
like Neil Patrick Harris in A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh, I never saw that. How was that?
I think it's great.
Well,
There's
really?
some weird things.
Well, a lot of people hate that, but
You wouldn't like the sheep penis parts.
oh, wouldn't I? I don't know. I like a good cheap penis.
There's a lot of them. though.
So,
Set up and served.
I mean, I've there are worse things, I guess, is what I'm saying.
true.
But I don't. I guess what all I'm saying is just give me the choice. You know,
Yeah.
if you got a blood elf, they seem to be kind of rigged in the same way. I mean, basically, Nightborn are night elves. They're just reskinned night elves. It's the same rig. So if it's the same rig, just give me a Nightborn, and then don't make me go to Suramar to get it. Done. Problem solved. And not only that, I'll just switch over. You'll get my $25. It's money you wouldn't have had otherwise. Like, come on, Blizzard. Let's make this happen. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right.
It's a
Well,
chance to ask.
I'm gonna stick with my blood elves because they're great.
I'm gonna stick with my Pandaren. 'cause
Is
they're
it hot in here, or is it just me?
Oh, how annoying is that?
Oh, it's
It makes
just
me wanna
me.
die.
I know.
No, you
I'll-
said it makes me want to pee. I want to die. I
Yeah.
don't want to pee.
Well, if you pee blood, death is not far.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, if you're peeing blood, you need to go get that checked out.
Just picture someone listening to this. They look down in the toilet.
Oh, no.
Just go see the doctor. It might be okay.
How long do I have?
Yeah.
Azeroth Roundtable told me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If I get any of my wishes, how's the old phrase go? If wishes were wishes, no. If wishes were fishes, they'd be in the sea. Is that how it goes?
Yep, that's it. You nailed
Yep.
it. You caught it.
All right. Good.
One last thing before we go, just because whenever Bo pipes up in the chat, it's apparently good. Because of course he would be the one to have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
He says, "Nah, you can pee blood and live for a while."
Why does he know that? Why do you know that, Bo? Now I'm worried about you. Don't. If your blood has pee in it, go see a professional. That's not good. And you have free healthcare up there. What are you doing? Just walk in there and go, my blood's red. It's all full of pee. It's all full of blood.
It's all full
Oh,
of
Well,
pee.
maybe he's speaking about a friend.
Oh, was that it?
Maybe.
Someone he knows.
Right.
Podcasts with, perhaps.
Yeah.
He's very intimate with.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Last name rhymes with
Schmortz.
Lager.
Wait, what?
I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh no. I haven't looked at my pee in a while.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Well, with that, Scott, thank you so much for joining us on the show this week.
Me too. I always love ending with a good pee discussion. So thank you for allowing me to be here. It's always fun hanging out with you guys. Always happy to do it. And it seems like we have this tradition of about once or twice per expansion, which feels pretty good because we get to talk about the stuff while it's fresh. So I like it.
I think so. Works out pretty well.
Yeah.
But, well, until next time you're on, where can people find you?
Well, if they want to find the shows I'm in and doing, for example, The Instance, the long-running, very long-running, since 2006 January, The Instance, about World of Warcraft and all things Blizzard, you can check that out. Still running to this very day. In fact, we put up a new episode today. That's over at frogpants.com/instance or theinstance.net, whichever is your preferred way to get there. If you go to frogpants.com, you find all my other shows, all my other projects, everything else is going on. And if you want to listen to me ramble about stuff and show artwork and other cool things online, you can check me out on Twitter at Scott Johnson.
Very cool. John.
Well, I'm glad he didn't take them all, because there was a chance Scott would have shut down all of the Where Else You Can Find Me's, but he didn't, and I appreciate it.
Sure.
So if you want to hear some discussion about Heroes of the Storm, I would recommend Core, which is the Heroes of the Storm podcast I do, also part of the Frog Pants Network. More information about that at heroesforyou.com. And tomorrow, Saturdays, we record There Will Be Dungeons, which is a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast. And you can find out more about that at therewillbedungeons.com. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, it is so much. I know I oversell it every week, but you need to listen to that show. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. I hope Bo's listening. He's a huge reason why. He's our DM and kills it on there. He's also part of Core. It's a very incestuous plug we're doing here. We do a lot of things together, it turns out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget until you say it, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I spent a lot of time with these people in the week.
Yeah, we play Heroes on Wednesday nights. It's
Yeah.
all, it's all. You got the Friday WoW thing now with people that are from all of that. So, yeah.
It's a good time. Everyone should beware.
Properly warned.
Yeah.
Ben,
Yes, John.
you're a person on this show,
I am.
and you should tell people where they can find you.
Best place to find me is on Twitter. I'm at Ben the Mage. I do a show with Eludra called Battle Pets, where we talk about battle pets in the World of Warcraft. So if you like the 5 minutes where we kind of talked about it here, we do it for longer on that show. So
Probably more positively than we talked about it.
Sometimes.
You guys like battle pets.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. I admire them from a distance, but it's good if you're into that stuff to have people that like it on a show. So I think that's good.
I don't even like battle pets, and I was still kind of annoyed by the fact that all the places in the story, this expansion, where you would get a pet, they wanted me to go pay for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up?
I thought that was a little weird, because there was definitely this like, oh man, that little orphan raptor just really loves you. It would probably die without you. I mean, you're clearly the thing it needs to cling to life, and you're the only thing it cares about in this world. So come on by and pay us 200 battle tokens, and you can have it and save its life.
Why do they even need those polished pet charms for? Makes no sense.
I don't know. What do they do with them?
Yeah.
Play Tiddlywinks.
Oh,
It's the only thing I could figure.
nobody plays Tiddlywinks and lives.
I don't
Yeah,
even
may-
know how to play Tiddlywinks.
Maybe they're Pog. I mean, you remember Pog.
I could play
remember
Pogs, yeah.
You can play Pogs? I don't know how to play Pogs.
I used to have a slammer that said "those damn kids" on it, and I thought it was so edgy because it had the word "damn" on there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll bet.
I was like, "Oh man, I'm hardcore.
Yeah.
Look at this slammer. It's made of metal and says damn."
It says damn on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably liked the Secret of Nim cartoon because they said damn in it. I remember that being a big deal when I was a kid. It was like, whoa, this cartoon that looks like something from Disney says damn?
It was like the time Han Solo said hell. I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
jeez, he's really mad."
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Time when my sister and I would be singing Thriller and we wouldn't say hell because we thought it was bad.
Yeah.
No, it was Thriller.
Thriller was,
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
you thought was good. It was bad.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking for more of us, this banter and stuff that we do, you can always follow us on Twitter. We are at AzrothRT. If you have any questions, comments, want to tell us about how much you love or hate the expansion so far, you can always email us at Battle Pets. Now I'm talking about that show's email and everything.
Wow, just really
Yeah.
plugging that Battle Pets today, Ben.
What can I say? They're in my mind. Anyways, email AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com. And of course, all of our episodes are found on AzerothRoundtable.com, where there's also a link to our Discord, which on there has links to our communities, which I realize that's like an extra step that we probably don't
No,
need.
do all the steps.
Yeah, I should put it in.
Follow every link.
And then you're going to get a coordinates for a geocache, and then in there is the password to get the next pebble in order to unlock the quest to see us online.
Great. Finally, an easy way to play with the people I listen to.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Just John here, by the way. Just want to say a big thank you to everybody who makes this show possible by supporting us over on Patreon. Thank you so much. If you want to join the people, the gathering that throw money at the problem, patreon.com/AzerothRT is where you would go to do that. As always, we like to give a very special thank you to the Murloc Club for going above and beyond. So a big thank you to Aaron Somdi, Frasley S, Haster, Jim G, Kryn, Sasch H, and Simon. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's fine. Ben's gonna Murloc for you. That's how you know you're in the Murloc Club.
Yeah, pretty much. So with that, again, Scott, thank you very much for joining us. Chat room, thank you for joining us live. That was always fun, and we pretty much only read what Bo said, but yeah, we like all of you.
Yeah, well, Bo, he's got a perspective that you just don't always get from everybody else.
Yeah, and he'll share it, and you always get it, and it's worth spreading.
That is very true.
Yeah, rumors worth spreading. Bo Schwartz, everybody.
And before I say go, I do want to say happy birthday to MacGyver, because today's his birthday, or yesterday in Australia, or something like that. I don't know, time zones. But with that, be good to each other. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.